Hi everyone, it's Venus. And Venus went to the movies this week, both times with another Venus. Mr. Mars just couldn't pull himself away from some projects to come with me. So I saw two movies. I saw The Miracle Club and I saw Barbie. And today is Friday, so hopefully I'll get this to you in time for you for the weekend. The first movie that I saw was The Miracle Club. Has a fabulous cast who do a really good job as Maggie Smith, Kathy Bates, and Laura Linney. And then another young Irish actress who I'm not familiar with her. And I'm really not, I don't think, familiar with the guy who played the priest either. But basically, it is, I'm going to try to tell you only things that I've read online about it so that I don't give any spoilers. But basically, these women are trying to win tickets to go to, how do they say it? Lords or Louds? Lords, I think is how they say it. When I read it as an American, it looks like the name Lourdes to me, because when I lived in Kodiak, there were a lot of Filipino women named Lourdes. So that's how I kind of know that word. But I think they called it Lords. And my husband asked me about the movie, and I told him that they were going to this place. He knew it right away. You know, I mean, I was like, what? And then I remember now he's raised, Irish Catholic. So, yeah, he's a second generation American. So he's heard about it. He knows about it. See, I'd never heard of it before. But anyway, I digress. So they're trying to win a talent contest so that they can go to this place, because all three of these women who are there, they form this little talent act to try to win these tickets. They all have something that they need taken care of. They need a miracle. And in the meantime, the woman who organized this thing was a friend of theirs too. And she passed away before the contest. And she had a daughter who was pretty much friends with Kathy Bates and then Maggie Smith's son. But she was sort of like banished and sent to the United States 40 years ago. For a while during the movie, it was hard for me to imagine when they, would talk about them having been friends or show pictures, that Kathy Bates and Laura Linney would be friends, because they were the same. They don't appear to be the same age. They aren't the same age as actresses, and they don't appear to be the same age in the movie. But then I had to stop and think about the friendships we got going on here. These three women that are friends and bonded to do this. We got Maggie Smith, who's like 90. We have, I think she's 90. And we have Kathy Bates, who I don't know how old she is, but I think she's older than me, maybe. And then we got Laura Linney, who was, I looked it up, was born in 1965. So not Laura Linney, I'm sorry. Then they have the Irish actress. Laura Linney comes in later. They have the Irish actress, and she's young. And then, so now I realize that Laura and Kathy did not have to be the same age to be friends. Growing up in the U.S., most of my friends growing up were my age. As I got older, I expanded my friendship a little, but I don't think any of my friends are more than 15 years difference than me, give or take, plus or minus 15 years, maybe even smaller than that. But certainly I can't imagine being a woman in her 20s, like in that movie, who's, one of her best friends was 90. That's something that hasn't occurred to me. So it was a little hard for me during the movie. I kept trying to think in my mind, are they the same age? Kathy Bates and Laura Linney. They don't look it at all, but, they've led two different lives. Although you don't really get to know about Laura Linney's age. But anyway, so they are not that pleased that she's back. There's lots of long-held secrets and guilt. I'm not going to give all that away. But she does come back for her mother's funeral. And to get straight to the point, she ends up going with them to Lourdes. And anyway, yeah, it's a tough movie to watch at sometimes. If you're not into interpersonal relationship movies, like my husband doesn't like that kind of movie, makes him squirm, he doesn't like to hear that. This is not your movie if you're into that. If you're not into that, this is not your movie. This is all about relationships and beliefs and Anyway, in fact, one part of it, Kathy Bates she has a glass of wine and kind of goes off, and even I felt a little uncomfortable then, like, oh my gosh, just shut her up or get her out of the room, you know. But yeah, it's about, you know, blame, forgiveness, ostracized, not understanding, guilt. It's all of those things. The part that was hardest for me was the way that people talk to each other. And I will say that I have seen this in some families, some of the things that people say to each other. And, you know, my southernness that I grew up in, you just wouldn't talk that way, you know. So part of that was just a little bit hard for me, you know, but it's an interpersonal relationship movie, so not everybody says nice things to everybody all the time, obviously. But yeah, that was a little squirmy for me a couple times. These people are in a neighborhood that's very blue collar, the neighbors are kind of on top of each other. And that's probably another reason there's such multi-generational relationships there. But, you know, when you're that squished in, I think there's bound to be times when you get on each other's nerves. And I think that anytime people are under pressure to, you know, put food on the table for the family, and like the one gal is taking money out of the electric meter because they have a meter in the wall of the house that they're putting coins into to keep the electric on, and so she has to break into it at one point. So I don't know. I'll quit talking about that. But would I recommend it? It is a well acted movie. There's some pretty scenery, but it's a tough movie. I will say that it's a tough movie. I would say, yeah, it's. I'm not going to tell you not to see it, but I don't think it's for everyone. I think it's, yeah, like my husband would have hated it, and I wasn't sure. I could have done this. I considered doing this review earlier, right after I saw it, and then seeing the Barbie movie and maybe Oppenheimer and doing those two together as a review. But I needed time to think about this one. And the more time I've had, the more I've grown to appreciate the movie and the dialogue that made me uncomfortable during the movie. So, yeah, I think it's, you know, do you have to rush out and see it? Probably not, but I don't regret seeing it. Let's put it that way. So I'll give it a thumbs up. Not a type of movie I want to see every day, but I will give it a thumbs up. All right, second movie, Barbie. Completely different movie. And there has been so much hype about the movie that, and see, I'm wearing my pink, and I got on pink shorts, and I have pink toenails, and I carried my pink purse, and almost everybody else in the theater was all wearing pink too. There are Barbie t-shirts or something. There are these two ladies older than me that had on their light pink t-shirts that had Barbie in like glitter or sequins, and then they had tutus on over their shorts, just these, you know, yeah. But anyway, so it's a bit of a phenomenon. Bella wants up, hold on. That's because Tika's too close to her. Tika just likes to follow another dog, and Bella doesn't like that. Okay, so I couldn't help seeing some of the things that people were saying in the media about the Barbie movie, and I just want to say something to that first. I've read something where, I don't know, somebody came out and said, and it was repeated over and over, that it really pushed a gay trans agenda, and it was about that. I can tell you, after just getting home from the movie, I mean, just seeing it, I never saw anything that dealt with gay or trans. I don't know what that person saw or what kind of mind that they have that they're reading that into it, but there was nothing. If there was anything political, controversial, it was about feminism and patriarchy. That's in it. If that's a political button for you, that's in it. But I don't know what they're talking about or what they're making it into. And then the other thing that I read about it, I read that it was full of dirty language. And that is not true. I only heard one word that would be changed the rating on it maybe, and they actually bleeped that, so you only got the first part of it. And they may have said another 4-letter word that's not the F-bomb. And but no, it is not full of dirty language. Does it have sexual innuendo? Yes, it does have that. But it is not full of filthy language and agendas that some people have made into, a big deal in our culture right now. That's not true. And if you've seen the movie and you see that in the movie, please tell me where you saw it, because I saw none of it. So anyway, so I just want to get that aside, that I think a lot of the things that people are saying about this movie, I'm not sure they saw the movie. So it starts off kind of like 2001: A Space Odyssey, but Helen Mirren is narrating it. And it shows these young girls with their baby dolls and talks about how, girls always had dolls, but they were baby dolls for the longest time until Barbie came around. And then it shows them like smashing the Barbie dolls, or being the baby dolls, because they're just in awe of this big Barbie doll. And I know the person sitting beside me was a little bothered by that. I could tell, because these dolls were being smashed, and I think that seemed like violent to her or something, but it was just an opening to it, and it was just dolls. But anyway, so you get to Barb. So then they go to modern day or whatever, Barbie land and Barbie world, and everything is perfect, and because Barbie dolls are perfect, and yada yada. And it's just funny how they can interpret, like when she gets out of her shoes, she's on her tiptoes, because Barbie's feet aren't flat, they're like that, so that she could always slip into her high heels. And so they did a lot of very, very clever things in the movie. And then, I don't want to tell too much of the plot away, but basically, for some reason, Barbie needs to go to the real world. And when she gets to the real world, her and Ken, he discovers the patriarchy. And so everything kind of changes, and yada yada. So like I say, I'm not going to tell too much more, but it was very enjoyable, and it was very funny, lots of it funny. I did get I was tired anyway. I stayed up late and I got up early, and so there is a little part of it later in the movie where I found myself yawning. I wasn't really bored, but it didn't have my attention like it did, like the first half of the movie really had my attention more so. But it's just kind of one funny thing after another. She sees Jerry in the window. He's walking by because he's doing some work out there. And she sees him now. She wants to go find him. Anyway, yeah, it's funny, and you got to pay attention to what they're saying, because you will miss a lot of the movie if you don't. Like, she's, what do they call her? Stereotypical Barbie. That's who she is. Because there's, Dr. Barbie, there's this or that, Pilot Barbie, whatever. And she's stereotypical Barbie, which I think is funny in itself. But so, yeah, it's kind of a, all's well that ends well kind of movie. Will Ferrell does a good job in it. Both the actors who play Barbie and Ken do a really good. Margot Robbie and what's his name? His name fails me right now, but anyway, you can look up who the actors are. They all do a good job. Would I recommend the movie? Yeah, I wouldn't not recommend the movie. Would I place it on my you've got to see this movie? I would say no, because I reserve that spot for just a handful of movies, but I will give it a thumbs up. I give both movies a thumbs up. Two completely different movies. Barbie is just kind of fun and and different. It is so different than any movie you've seen. So if you can appreciate that for its style and the way it's done and its whole concept, yeah. And I asked other people in the movies if they liked it, and they did. Now I don't know if it's nostalgia or what, but it was very, very clever. The first movie was extremely well acted. This Barbie movie was well acted as well. I think that first movie really had my attention completely, where Barbie lost me just a little at about 3/4 of the way through. but I was tired, so that could have been part of it. Barbie movie was very clever, much more like the Miracle Club didn't have to be as clever, you know. But yeah. So I don't think either one of them are you got to rush out or you have to see it on the big screen. I don't think either one of them are that, but I think that they're both thumbs up movies. Thanks so much. Hope I didn't talk too long.